And he starts telling me about this DC10 place that he's involved with. I'm like, what? DC10 each year got madder and madder, and busier DC10 got, the busier my wife got. And before you know it, we're off to Sydney, Singapore, DC10 Circoloco, Joe Mills resident.
What's your relationship like Simon Dunmore from Defected? Obviously one of the biggest brands in the world.
We did Eden with Pete Tong, Wonderland. I hate people saying it's not as good as it used to be.
I think the on this island has got to be one of the best in the world.
Unbelievable.
If you were to explain Amnesia Nightclub or Coon Nightclub, Es Paradis or Eden, how would you explain some of these clubs to the listeners out there? Charlie, welcome to the show, mate.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, mate. Very much looking forward to this one. Let's roll all the way back. When was the first time you come to Ibiza?
I never got on a plane because, I mean, we used to holiday in Southport. My family from Liverpool. We used to spend six weeks up there. Norfolk, Broads and Brighton. That was it. So I didn't have the money. And then after I left college and started earning money, 2 weeks in 84.
84.
2 weeks holiday.
Yeah.
Stayed in Pieces Park next to the Egg for 2 weeks. Got thrown out of there for chinning the manager.
For what? For
just being stupid, and he pushed me.
Yeah.
And I had to keep going up the fire exit to get back in. Went to Cafe Del Mar. They'd only been open for 4 years, but we knew and we'd heard through the little scene in London that's where you needed to be.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I'd been out of England.
And when was the time you first got into the music world?
Well, at that time we were always into to soul and funk, and straight away. I mean, I went to my first club I ever went to was Hammersmith Palais when I was 15.
Yep.
And I'm a QPR supporter,
yep.
so I know the area well. I grew up around there, younger age, and I used to live in Hillingdon. I got the 207 bus, and then I'd go to school the next
Lovely
day.
club, big old. I used to throw parties in the Palais. It was a big old capacity, was it? 2,000 plus.
Yeah. It was
Lovely
a real
club.
big black music thing. I mean, there was like about 8 other white guys in there.
Yeah.
It was cool as you like. So that was my first. That's how music started for me, and then from there, K-Star used to do the Soul Weekenders, and I remember. Yeah, no, that's how music started for us.
And what was the movement for you to actually become a promoter, start thinking about coming to the island? How long have you been on the island for now?
Been here since 1999.
Wow. Okay.
And it was how I became a promoter was Brandon, who you recently had on.
Yep.
Brandon was working in Atlas. I think I told you this with my daughter's mum, and then we got to know each other. And then my best friend Dean Thatcher, who's an amazing DJ. And they wanted to do, as Acid House kicked off in 88, 89, they wanted to do this party at Queen's, which is a club on a reservoir directly under the runway at Heathrow. But they quickly realised that they were DJs and needed someone with a gob to promote it. And we promoted it on a Monday night in January. What are we thinking? On a Monday night in January.
Yeah.
And we opened the doors at 9 or 10 and closed them at 11:30. There's full 800 people in there.
Oh, it was Ramode, was it?
Ramode.
Oh, quality.
Yeah, it was just you're going out every night of the week then.
It didn't matter what day of the week
didn't
it was.
matter.
Yeah.
No, it didn't matter at all.
And what's your journey? How would you explain your journey to become like a promoter, coming on the island and really giving it a good go?
Well, I didn't, there was a big gap before the first thing I ever did here. So we sort of kicked off big time, and it was called Flying. We called it Flying, and then there was Flying Records in Kensington. And then it was Flying in Nottingham, which was a massive part of my life. That changed a lot of things. We were the first people. I think we were the first people to do tours. Yeah. No one can tell me any different. Yeah. And we did a Friday night, and we didn't even, it held 750 people. We didn't even get to printing the flyer, and we sold 7 or 9 coaches out. Right. Some of them from Uxbridge over near Heathrow, and the rest from the shop in Kensington. Yeah. So they only managed to sell, we sold 50 tickets in Leeds, 50 in Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Nottingham, they only had 100 tickets. We sold out Friday night, boom. So that's where
that's a good memory, isn't it? A good memory of actually booking coaches and people coming from different parts of the country to go to a club.
Yeah, that's sort of, that was the Blarick Network, the start of the Blarick Network. And then we moved that on, and we did the Corn Exchange in Leeds probably the next year. And then that, I can't remember if it was before or after. And then that just led to us doing the Ibiza 90 event here, which meant that we brought Channel 4. We did the short film about chilling. And basically we brought in May, 2 weeks in May, which again, 2-week holidays don't exist anymore. Right. Yeah. Do they? They don't.
Yeah.
Especially if you're clubbing, because you can't afford it.
Yeah. We can't handle it.
No, you can't handle it. Yeah. But we were out every night for 2 weeks. I don't think we did a party every night, but we basically bought 25 DJs, 3 bands, and a lot of those DJs are still out there. Paul Oakenfold, Terry Farley, Slam, all of them are out there nearly. And we bought, and it was The Farm, who just broke that year.
Yep.
Literally when they came back from here, they went number 3 in the charts with Groovy Train. And that was the springboard to most everything. And the Channel 4, it came out on the August on a Friday night about 10:30, and I was a bit bemused, thinking, everybody's out on a Friday.
Yeah.
Of course they're not, just that we were. Yeah. And then they showed it again in the on Boxing Day, 11 in the morning, 13.5 million.
Bloody hell.
Just on Channel 4, no streaming, no social media, just boom.
What rough year are we talking here?
90.
1990.
It was good. The trip was called Ibiza 90.
Yeah, okay.
And the film was called A Short Film About Chilling, which was a take on some nouveau noir or whatever it is film, can't even say it. Yeah. Short film about killing. So that's to be a super trendy, so it's a company called Kinesis. The guy behind that, Kevin Sampson, is one of the best journalists I've ever worked with. We didn't want them to come. They were outside, Kevin was outside Limelight, where we all were on a Friday night, shouting me and Terry Farley's name out, standing in the street. We were like, no, mate, there's no cameras coming to Ibiza. We thought we were underground, overground, underground. No. But I think it was the Tuesday after, or a couple of days or weeks after, we went out with him in London for a drink and food. And each mad scouser, but really, really, really clever.
What were the knock-on effects for you from that 1990 coming out here, having Channel 4, having the exposure, etc.? What was the knock-on effects moving forwards for you?
Well, the knock-on effect, we knocked on we were working with the ID magazine, which was the big magazine at the time, and they one of the guys there started writing and talking about Rimini. So we thought,
Italy?
Yeah, in Italy. And we thought, well, rather than come back here the second year, which would have been easy, we thought, well, let's take the challenge on and do Rimini in the same way, where we took the same DJs. I don't know, we didn't take the Farm, but we basically then we did Peter Pan Club, Cellophane, Coca Rico, and we did that 91 and 92.
Okay. Why Italy? What was the link there?
Don't know. I mean, we were selling more Italian records than anything else in the shop, Flying Records. We knew the Italian DJs, Cirillo, Ricky Montanari, Claudio Coccolito, bless him. Yeah. He's up there now. Ralph. And they're all still my best friends, Cirillo and Ricky, I speak to all the time. And we I don't know, just thought, let's
give it a go.
Yeah, there was Disco Pew, was the big shop that we all knew about in Rimini. So there was a lot being spoke about Rimini at the time.
And you mentioned the record shop, Flying. Did you own that? Yeah, we started Flying Records.
And then we started working with an Italian distributor. It was so much, we were selling so much vinyl.
Yeah.
Italian distributor in Napoli. And they thought we were buying the records. It was in Kensington Market, Flying. They thought we're buying like 8 big boxes of 35 within a week. And they thought we were buying them and distributing them. We were like, no, we're selling them from one shop.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe it. Yeah. So there was a whole big Italian London thing going on, or not London, UK thing.
So after that 93, 94, 95, what was that period you were doing up to 99 when you said, right, I'm moving to Ibiza for good?
No, the funny thing is, we never said, right, we want to move to Ibiza. Yeah. It was actually never a plan. A lot of people plan it, and it just happened. Yeah. And what happened was we were doing a club in Wolverhampton called the Mezzanine, and then through friends, we got offered a bar here that's now, it's called The Butcher. It's on the main roundabout, the Hand of Dog, with the dogs on in the marina on the way to Pasha and Leo. It's now called Sergio One, and I know the Dutch owners. And funny enough, he's Israeli, and he used to do parties in Nottingham at the same time as we used to do parties. And so anyway, but below there it's called The Butcher, and that used to be mezzanine that Howard will tell you. And it was just potty. We used to open at 6 a.m, and they'd just come round like ants from Pasha and El Divino's. If you'd had a drome in those days.
El Divino, what a great club that was.
Yeah.
You had to get a little boat to it, and what a lovely.
Yeah, which is now Leo.
Leo. How long has it been Leo for now? Do you know?
10 years.
Is it 10, is it?
Yeah, 10 years.
Bloody hell.
So, and then from there, Cirillo, who I hadn't seen for 4 years because we didn't have WhatsApp, and I hadn't seen him for a while, but come to London, we went, I remember going to QPR Liverpool with him, and I'd lost all contact with him. And then I went to see Oakenfold at Space one day, and he come running up behind me and jumped on me. And then he came down and said, oh my God, we just lost contact for a few years since about 96, I guess. And then he starts telling me about this DC10 place that he's involved with. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Where? And that's so me and Joe becoming involved with DC10 was all
Joe,
down,
your wife?
Yeah, Joe Mills.
Yeah.
So that's how that. So Rimini led to DC10 6 years later because of my Italian connections. That's how that.
Just explain to the listener how you would describe DC10.
DC10 is the most. I mean, when I went in there myself, I just couldn't believe what was going on. Yeah. And I was 38 at the time, and I was having enough of clubs. I'd had enough, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't enthusiastic as I used to be. And then Cirillo said, come down. And we've got in there at 9 a.m. I'm like, it wasn't busy at that time.
Yeah. On a Monday morning.
Monday morning, it opened at 6. Yeah. You get people turning up that hadn't been to bed, and people that had been to bed and gone down there. It's predominantly Italian and a few Spanish. But we walked in there and we were like, Jesus, what is going on here? And Tanya Volcano was playing, and they just changed everything. Yeah. Antonio and Andrea, they just changed everything. It was just ready to blow. Yeah. But we never, they changed the music, and it was Circoloco, Mad Circus. Yeah. That's what it was.
So what was your involvement in Circoloco or DC10
they asked Joe to be resident, and they wanted Joe there. And then kind of we started talking about it, and it just evolved, and I got involved to help promote it and bring a lot of press down. It was always Andrea's and Antonio's, but a lot of people got confused about it. Like, no, but I think it was kind of that melting between us and them. We helped bring, a lot of press, and, we filmed All Gone Pete Tong in there. And
did you? Is that where it was filmed?
Yeah, part of it was. Yeah. Part of that was done. In fact, they came and my bit that I had to do, they came and dragged me out at like silly o'clock, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been up all night, and to do my interview about what was he called? Frankie Wilde, wasn't it? I remember. Oh God, do I have to do this? Been up all night.
What's the movement's been? Year 2000. Did you come out here? Did you buy an apartment? Did you buy a villa? Did you rent?
No, so we had.
Did you get your feet under the door? What were you seeing on the island back then? Were you seeing there was opportunities for you?
We just rolled into it. We had an apartment for that summer, and then you had to sort of pack everything up and store the things you accumulated over the summer. Irons and ironing board, leave somewhere. Then you come back the following year. 2000, 2001, and then we bought an apartment here. And we had bought it off plan, and then it was kind of clear that DC10 each year got madder and madder, and the busier DC10 got, the busier my wife got.
Yeah, okay.
So she was DJing, and before you know it, 2004, we're off to Sydney, Singapore, Taiwan. Off the back of the DC10 Circoloco Joe Mills resident.
Fantastic.
So we ended up by we're in Koh Samui a lot of the time. And then we ended up, 2006, we ended up moving in the winter to Singapore.
Did you?
And I was running a club there called Attica. And that gave us a base to bring the UK and some of the Italian DJs to Singapore. And then they could use that as a bit of a base and go off and do some. We used Singapore as a hub in the in the winter.
So did you take the brand? Did you yourself and Joe, were you allowed to use the Circoloco brand, or were you using Joe Mills?
It was just Joe Mills. No,
okay.
We did one party on a unbelievable free. We were talking about it with my mate Phil the other day. Boat, an events boat on 3 stories in Sydney. It was a Circoloco party, and then Andrea realised that we were there and like, look, do you want to do this party?
Yeah.
And you're coming out Sydney Harbour in this. It's called the Starship or something like that, and under the bridge, you're like, how we ended up here.
So what have your movements been? Is there a party that really springs out to your mind that you've put on and go, do you know what? That's the one. That's my pinnacle.
Well, we'd be in DC10 every week thinking, Jesus. But I get when we were doing Attica in Singapore, the guys, my friends, they opened a club in China, in Shanghai. We opened Attica in Shanghai. And it was a rooftop venue in a colonial, on that, it's called the Bund.
Yeah.
And it's all those colonial British, French buildings. And we were on the roof of that with a dome overlooking Pudong, which 30 years ago was rice fields. Yeah. Now it's just skyscrapers. And we opened Attica there, which had, as I say, a restaurant, a club. We brought Pasha over. Pasha did a party. And I remember standing on that, looking at, it's like Mars there, in Shanghai. Not only the expats speak English. I learned more Chinese there than I have Spanish in all this time, because it's hard to learn Spanish here. Everybody speaks English. You speak to them in Spanish, they answer you in English. But it was, and I remember standing on the roof just before I think Simon Dunmore, who I grew up with from Defected, I think we did a Defected party as well. I remember standing there thinking, have we ended up here?
Yeah.
From Hillingdon near Heathrow, Catholic school, suddenly, boom, you're in Mars.
Yeah.
It was bonkers.
Well, how have you seen the island change since you've been here? You came here pretty much full time 25 years ago. How have you seen the island change from sort of like the dance music coming in sort of in the 90s to where we are going into the noughties to where we are sitting today?
Well, I think I hate people saying it's not as good as it used to be, because it was like the DJ Lenny Bizarre, who's still here. He did an interview once and said, yeah, but the people, if back in the day and, people in the 90s, the people before that, and, there's always, it's different time periods. Yeah. I think it's as good now as it's ever been. Yeah. But how it's evolved is there was when we moved here, there was one 5-star hotel, the Hacienda, in the north. Now there's 30.
Is that right? It's 30, is there?
Yeah, there's 30. You've got, or there's 25, 30. Yeah. The Me Hotel, here we are. But you've got, the Milia have got 3 hotels here. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that's changed the landscape, if you like, is gastronomy, food. There used to be, when we were doing DC10, you didn't have much choice. There's great food. There was the country restaurants, etc., the meat restaurants like Balafia. But Sacapella was only, I wouldn't have called it high end, but brilliant. Mm. And there was Calijondel, but now people come here on holiday to eat.
I think the food on this island has got to be one of the best in the world.
Unbelievable.
And choice.
Yeah. Unbelievable, the food here. So there's a real food scene here, big food scene. Really, as I say, people come here, don't go to clubs. Look, and that evolved and changed because of lockdown. Those 2 years the clubs didn't open, people were coming here. Even you saw loads of young people come in, thinking, well, we're still going to go. Yeah, clubs. They're partying at the villas or hotels, but then the other thing that boomed from lockdown is boat charter.
Yeah.
People were coming over and chartering a boat And there were still restrictions over that summer, 2020 and 21. But you go on a boat, there's 2 boats, 24 of you, 12 of you.
Have a party. Yeah.
Put the music up.
Yeah.
More off, Formentera. Absolutely amazing. So the boat charter, it was even in the Dario said there's a new market for the boat charter companies, 20 to 35-year-olds are suddenly, have never been on a boat because they thought it was too expensive or too then they can realise they can charter a boat for €100 each a day, and there's nothing better.
How have you seen it back? If we go back into the 90s when the dance music was really kicking off, what years were you seeing it kick off? You're seeing the promoters from England coming over, you're seeing Renaissance coming over, you see Cream coming over. And then the sort of movement changed. Like we had Danny Whittle on the other day, and he was taking the power away from the promoter and saying, right, we're going to give the DJ the night. Instead of having the DJ, if it's Roger Sanchez on a Wednesday night at Pasha, actually you'd have a DJ every single night.
Yeah.
So you're cutting out the promoter. How did that feel at that time?
Well, I think also that's where DC10 changed things, because in that period that you're talking about, it's probably 93, 95, 96, 97, 98, when there's Cream, was Dance Valley, the Dutch guys that put on massive festivals. Joe was a resident of that at Amnesia. And there was Cream, obviously they're good friends of mine, and Renaissance and those brands. DC10 didn't put any big DJs on at all. It was DC10 and it was the residents. It was all about the residents.
Is that because you think people were going, like we all did, we went to Space, and after Space, if you want to carry on, you go to DC10. Was a part of that as well?
Well, once we got it busy, it was just their vision. It was Andrea and Antonio's vision. Didn't want to be led by the DJs. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously that's evolved where they have some of the most incredible lineups you're ever going to see, DC10. But at that point, that's what kind of flipped things again, that we didn't have to rely. And, I went and dragged Carl Cox down there because I knew he was there. Like, come down. Just went and got him. Went and got Danny Tenegula, because I knew Danny was there. And we're like, he's like, what? I said, come on. Next minute, he's got boxing gloves on, dancing around on Monday morning behind the DJ unit. And then that led to like Danny asking Joe to play in New York. We're like, he was our hero from where you all used to go to Miami in the late in 95, 96. Miami was everything. The dance music. Wasn't it? Yeah. And we knew Danny from there, from Groove Jet. And he's gone up to Joe and went, I want you to come play in vinyl in New York. Like, oh, what? Yeah. So that sort of then led to going to New York regularly.
So Joe, your wife, Joe Mills, how long have you been with her for?
27 years.
27 years, and she's been DJing all that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, she's got some stories.
Yeah.
Have you found that whenever she's gone, do you go with her to all the different countries, or?
Yeah, no, we always used to try and take as much out of what we were like, because I was a manager doing her bookings. It was a job. Yeah. There's the two of us as a partnership. We were really lucky in that, I always used to find it bizarre, and I kind of get it, is that a DJ would fly. I remember one of the Pasha DJs flying to a party that a Pasha party, because Joe was playing for Pasha, and the tour flew to Bucharest, or was it one of those, flew to Bucharest, and he got there at 1 a.m. because his plane had been late. Joe had to mix their time, and then he was flying home at night, flying back here at 9. What are you doing? Yeah. So we were lucky that if we were in Cologne on a Friday, and Milan on a Saturday, we'd go to Cologne on the Wednesday or the Thursday. Enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, my best friend's from Cologne. He's the reason I talk to him every day, Marcus. And then there's the party, and then the next day's difficult because you've probably been up all night, and then you're on to Milan, and then we'd stay in Milan we'd never fly out the next day because you'd already done it the day before. You'd either end up partying all day on the Sunday or just hanging out and enjoying the food. Yeah. And we'd often fly back here on the Tuesday, try and stay 2 days. And how lucky are you to be an international DJ?
Unreal.
Yeah, but I don't think enough of them absorb it.
I don't think they absorb it, and I don't think enough of them told their stories.
No.
Because they're fascinating stories. Even just you mentioned there, like a DJ flying here, flying there. For the normal bod listening, you just see a DJ playing different countries. You don't realise that he's lonely,
There is,
is there loneliness with it as well?
None of these people, that is one of the big things and it is really hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
You know.
Planes, hotels,
yeah.
DJ,
partying,
sleep,
no sleep, 1 hour sleep.
On call, next one.
Yeah. And I say, when you called the other day and I was with my mate Phil.
Yeah.
And he's English, but he lives in Australia. And we were talking about the record of gigs Joe's played is 5 in a weekend in Australia from Friday night, playing in Melbourne Friday night, and then Saturday morning at an after party, and then flying to Brisbane and did a party on the Saturday night, back down to Sydney, did the boat party that I just mentioned, and then we did Lady Luck's in King's Cross. It's quite mad because have you seen the last King of the Cross? Have you seen that TV program?
No.
It's amazing. It's so weird because it's all based around that time. And King's Cross in Sydney was the mad, like properly bonkers there. And it's a true story.
Yeah.
It's a true story. So it's quite mad. We're watching the second series and we're like, we were there. We were there.
What's your relationship like with Simon Dunmore from Defected? Obviously one of the biggest brands in the world.
Well, we're Simon, we all used to go to Caister. 84, Soul Weekenders in Norfolk. Up that way. And we hang around. Dean Thatcher was the band The Aloof and a DJ in his own right. And still DJing now. And then Simon was he was on it's funny when Tall Paul, I watched your program with Tall Paul, he talked about the Sictronic
big shout out to Paul, by the way. That was a
it was good.
Episode.
I watched the whole thing. And he talked about Sictronic band driven thing. Well, Simon was playing on a Sictronic sound system in this little place in Hillingdon called Hiccups, my mate Phil. And that's kind of, we all used to go there on a Friday night, and then Simon started DJing more and more and more. Ends up running the biggest and best label in the world.
Unbelievable story.
And we used to go to QPR.
Is he a QPR fan as well?
Yeah, he supports QPR. Yeah. I remember we were at Caister and QPR playing Norwich. So we left Caister in the afternoon in a minibus and went to Norwich and ended up having the biggest bundle going. Simon knocked this guy clean out.
Did he?
Yeah, they chased us down the road and there was too many of them.
Yeah.
We was with others. There was about 50 of us and there was about 200 of them, and we give up running and just flew into them. They ran actually.
I tell you, I do like QPR's ground. It's really steep, isn't it? If I remember rightly. Going to Shepherd's Bush.
Yeah. It's the only thing I miss, I think, about England.
So when you're here now, when you fly to all these different countries and you're coming back, do you feel like this is proper home to you?
Yeah, it's home.
Yeah.
We live in Santa Crudas, which is a village.
What's that, like the Notting Hill of Ibiza?
They call it the Notting Hill of Ibiza. And, me and Howard live there, and it's got a community, and you bump into it. My son grew up there, so that's home. I've been in the same house for 20 years.
Yeah.
In that same building, which is quite mad. But you do need to get off the island. Sometimes
you get island fever.
Island.
How long does that take to get island fever? Are you talking 3 months, 5 months, 6
months? No, 5 months probably.
Okay.
And sometimes you just want to jump off. And I remember once it really hit me how much I needed to get off, and I only went away on the Wednesday to Madrid, Milan. I can remember. Go with my friend Steve, and I got there and we had a right tear up, a right laugh, a right drink, flew back the next day and I saw the island. I went to him, ooh. I just, but it was, I needed to get off. So try and do that. I don't go back to you. Say football. I went with my friend Marcus from Cologne to Rome versus via Leverkusen recently in April, and we planned it so. We got there on the Tuesday. The Tuesday
Roma or
night.
Lazio?
It was Roma. The quarterfinals. Which Leverkusen were off the scale.
Yeah.
And me and Marcus got there the day before. Then there was the Tuesday, and then we had Wednesday, being a tourist and getting off the island, and then the match, and then him and my friend from Zurich, they left, and I stayed on my own for 2 days.
Yeah. take it all in.
Just to take it in,
mate,
and
I get it.
just be off the island. And I walked 65 kilometres in 4 days, just walking everywhere, and I got a bloody open top bus for the first time ever with earphones on.
The old Tommy Tourist.
Tommy Tourist. But found out things I didn't know, and I've been to Rome loads of
Beautiful
times.
city, right?
Yeah, amazing. So you need to do those things to live here. So.
Tell me about some other clubs you've been involved with on the island.
Well, we did Eden with Pete Tong, Wonderland. That was good, and that was completely different to DC10. And then Dave Piccioni, who owns Amante, he had Azuli Records, and he started doing, after I left DC10, he was doing, so that was the old El Divino.
Yeah, lovely.
And we were doing the Azuli night there on a Tuesday or whatever it was. But that's kind of...
If you were to explain Amnesia nightclub or Coup nightclub or Es Paradis or Eden, how would you explain some of these clubs to the listeners out there?
Coup is where we did Ibiza 90. We put the farm on there and a man called Adam. And it was an open air theatre, really.
Yeah.
With a swimming pool. You all ended up in the swimming pool.
That's right.
Yeah, it was bonkers. And then the same Amnesia, it still is now. Obviously, it's one of the biggest openings. But Amnesia was open air. And it was, it was hard to get in. It was hard to get in, actually.
I think Amnesia was like 10, 11, 12,000 capacity.
No, it wasn't then either. Amnesia really was just a terrace.
Yeah. But didn't the club come to like a massive capacity of 10, 11,000?
No, that's Coup.
Coup, that's right. Coup was the biggie there. Well, Amnesia's still big though. I'd like to know what Amnesia... Can we have a look at what Amnesia...
4,000?
Is it 6,000, is it? 6,000 Amnesia.
6,000.
That's a big old club. Even when you go to Coup, like 10, 11, 12,000, that's like a mini festival.
Yeah.
Say mini, it's like a medium-sized festival, all under one roof.
Yeah. And now that's turning into Universe. The Ushuaia guy is taking that over.
Yeah.
It's been sitting there as an eyesore, really.
We had Ulysses Braun on yesterday. What a lovely character.
Yeah,
he was telling us about the Universe nightclub, and he reckons in 2025 it's going to change the whole island.
Yeah, it will, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's brilliant, Uli. I mean, I've been on manoeuvres with him before in Zurich, him and Paul Oakenfold. And there's not much he doesn't know, is there?
Yeah, what a character.
Yeah.
And another character, we had Vaughan on last night.
Yeah, Vaughan's there, isn't he? Yeah.
I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that. Yeah.
How would you explain the island sort of like in his 2000s, 2010, 2020, where we sit today? Obviously, we don't want to talk about the thing that happened in 2020, 2021, when the whole island come to a pretty much standstill, the world did. But you must have seen it change. I know you said it's got better, but there's people on the island saying it hasn't got better. Are they looking through rose-tinted glasses from the good old days? Or...
Yeah, they probably have. And, the island does have issues with the properties are big. How the Me Hotel here are on these hotels and these restaurants to get the right staff that are good enough. The big problem is them housing the staff. Yeah. And it's weird how the government haven't got on top of that. There's a brand new hotel in San Miguel. I know the main reception guy there, and he told me the other day there's it's Hilton basically. Yeah. There's 150 rooms in there, and it's going to expand, I believe. They've taken over a tiered hotel, the bay's there. 50 rooms are allocated to staff, because if they don't, they won't get the staff.
Is that right? Wow.
Here, there's a building right there. They built the building here for staff. That's genius. But it's also not genius. They have to do it. I think there's, a few of the Ushuaia owned, Palladium owned hotels, the top floor, which you would really want for, I believe, I might be wrong, I think Ushuaia Towers.
Yeah.
You'd want the top floor to be for your punters. Yeah. The top floor are all staff. Yeah. So that is the big issue that everybody talks about, housing and the greedy landlords just putting the money up. And I know someone who's got a little casita, a little house on the side of a villa, and he's paying $2,500 a month. He's in there on his own.
Wow. So are you seeing the effects, like back home, people are talking about the Mallorcans, the Ibizans are unhappy with too many tourists out here buying the properties, the rents rising up. Are you seeing that?
I don't get what I mean. They don't know. Nobody's moaning here about too many tourists. They are in Mallorca.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to live in Tenerife. Actually, Tenerife, I was there in, when was it? 86 for a year or two. And I remember seeing this spray on the wall. I know exactly what it was. Latest America that said, "Go home, tourists."
Right.
I was like, what does that mean? I didn't have a clue. They were moaning then.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I don't know why they do it in Mallorca. And the sustainability is a big issue. But here, and especially when it came to, and there's always that club thing. And I never thought that the government, they kind of were always trying to hide the club thing.
Yeah.
You know, and the tourist thing are all about people looking at maps and adult villa. It's like, what about the clubs?
Yeah.
And then along come COVID and showed everybody you need tourists. Yeah. And by the way, you need music and you need the clubs because this is what this island is. Yeah. And it's diversified, fashion, music, food, you know, retreats. Look at the retreats here. That's another thing. Yeah. You know, all these retreats.
There's a lot more retreats. Is that because of the people who were partying hard in the 90s and noughties are actually going, you know what, I want to come back to the island because it's beautiful, but I'd rather do a retreat.
Yeah.
And have good conversations, good food, and actually wake
and that's
up
the other
normal.
reason. People, I don't think people fall out of love with, you know, like when Clockwork Orange did their first party here and they hadn't done a party for 12 years and they thought they were bringing 200 people for their first Clockwork back and 900 turned up. Well, those 900 people were, you know, middle-aged. The children had just left home or could be looked after, and they all came back for a blowout. Yeah. Because those people still love Ibiza. Yeah. And now they're bringing their children with them who are 16, well, 18, 19, 20, 25, and they're all partying on the beach. Like, I didn't even go for a drink with my dad.
What are your movements today? What are you doing today? What are you doing? What's your business? What are you working on? What are you planning? Have you got anything in plan for 2025, 26?
Yeah, loads. Yeah. So we with Jo and her DJing, she's never been busier. And we started a party in the winter called Escucha, which means listen. And that was a Sunday afternoon in an amazing venue. And it was Sunday roast, getting the island together in an amazing venue with Jo and 2 guests every Sunday.
Lovely.
And that just went wild.
Where's that?
It was at WOW, but they've had a problem with their license. Okay. So we're going to be doing something. Pikes on a Sunday now, tomorrow, is Sunday roast, one of the best chefs, Tim Payne, amazing. Especially with Sunday roast. And then it's music, DJs, drinking. So we're going to collaborate with them in the winter and do another venue, not at Pikes. Yeah. That's kind of quite a big thing. But the biggest thing that one of the biggest things I've ever done was Essential Ibiza, which was me and Jo, and it was
what's it called? Essential
Ibiza.
Yeah.
And we did that for 10 years. And we kind of broke ground in that it's everything. It was news, essential reviews. We used to have Essential TV. We used to do podcasts. We used to be out there, and we'd review a club, say Space. We'd review it. Not that our remit was the next day. We want to. We don't want to see a review 2 weeks later of Space, which that's all there was at the time, really. So, well, that's old. That's 3 days ago in Ibiza's old news.
Old news, yeah.
So we were I remember the one we did with Carl Cox, and we had journalists in there Sunday afternoon. Swapped around another journalist to write about who was playing and what was going on after that. On the Monday morning, we had photographers in there Sunday afternoon in the night, and then we had one photographer that went down there for the last hour. And for example, got Carl Cox held the last he had vinyl at the time. Well, he wanted to play vinyl. Held that up, and it was 12:17 on the picture, and we published the story. 17 minutes to 1 o'clock.
Yeah, quality.
And that just went bananas. Yeah. Space. So Essential Ibiza was boat charter, concierge, marketing, and we lost all of that in COVID. Yeah. Because along came COVID.
Just killed everything.
Killed us. We weren't boat charter commissions, hotel. I mean, it just died. So we've been dead for 4 years, but I've spent the last year and a half pulling it back together, and it's going to have a new name, Iseno, So Iseno Ibiza, Iseno Marbella, and I've been raising money. And I raised it yesterday, actually.
Congrats! I know you called me up. Well done.
Yeah.
Man.
So
have you got enough money from that raise to take it to another level? Or are you looking for more?
No, we'll need more.
How much are you looking for?
Well, people think I'm joking. It's 400 grand to rebuild this
euro.
Yeah, euros.
Yeah.
So we've had a first tranche in, which and to build a platform not responsive. Some web app, so and then to have an app, and then to have this. They're platforms now. They're not websites, and that's between. To build it is 6 months. It's like building a property.
Get it. No, I get it. 6 months.
It's like this.
Yeah, I get it.
You have a project manager who's going to look at bringing the glass in, but that person that's he organises the glass is different to the people that are building the. Yeah. You know that,
so
and
for
they're like, what?
For 400 Gs, how long is it going to take you to get to break even? So if there's an investor out there wanting to have a piece of this, I'll send the links below. But how long is it going to take you to break even to get that money back?
We're going to launch in the winter, which no one's ever done, because one of the projects is called Iseno Offers, and going back to the island also, not just there's two issues: accommodation and the price of everything. People, I can tell you a beach club. A really amazing beach club prior to COVID. It was a really, gastronomic gastro burger, 21 euros, now 35.
Yeah, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna make we're gonna make Ibiza affordable again, because most people now as well aren't staying here for 7 days, staying for 4 or 5. Yep. So we're creating part of the product that's taken from an idea or something that I found in Dubai just before COVID, where there'll be an app, but it's offers. So basically, you become a member, and you'll be part of the community, and you can redeem. It's only going to be 60 euros a year, and you can get a 20% discount.
Brilliant.
But not just for you. If we all went out for dinner later, friends of friends, the table, you save 20%.
Yeah. Have you found that the generation, when we all used to come here at the age of 16, 17, 18, 19, is there a generation not coming through because of the expense of the island at the moment?
Look at Amnesia. Look, maybe they're still coming, but they're also, if they're coming for 6 days, they go out three nights. But if you look at the age of most people in Ushuaia and the clubs, it's younger. They're still coming. Yeah. I mean, I do. Look at Ocean Beach.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but that's a prime example.
Oh my God.
Truman's Gaff is absolutely rammed.
Tony's place, and Dwayne.
What's that? 18 to 30, really?
Yeah, and it's packed.
Yeah.
So yes, they're coming.
Yeah.
And then when I'm just talking about driving down on my bike, and I see my friend, and he's staying in this Mar Nostrum, which is my old apartment, was there. And I said to my wife, and it was the hotel that you walk past every day, and it was a big wall, and you just never went in there, because it used to be a 3-star that really was a 2-star.
Yep.
It was dreadful.
Yeah.
And I walked in there the other day, and they built a rooftop pool, and I mean, I'm not joking. The people that I sat there and went, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super cool up there.
So people are making a proper effort, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'm not joking. I said to my wife, you should see the women, beautiful women, all knocking around the pool, but they're probably only there for 3 or 4 days, but really cool.
I think this island's got the most beautiful women in the world. Yeah. Like with 40 odd different nationalities floating around, like everyone, and everyone's kind and nice to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, there's never any trouble on the island. Yeah. That's another thing that
beautiful place
makes us out. There's that Narcos thing on there.
It makes it out sound. I hear you.
Yeah, there's never really any trouble here.
Yeah.
So,
Charlie, if there was an evening that you wanted to go to a club and you had 6 DJs to choose from, who would you have playing there?
DJ Pippi.
Yep.
Who I saw his brother the other day, and Pippi played for us when we did Ibiza 90. He was one of the DJs that played on this. He played for Coup.
Yeah.
Danny Tenegula.
Yeah.
Probably Massive Attack when they DJ as
special.
They're very good DJs. Danny Oakenfold. Oakie's not my type of music really, although he's a great fan, but he's outstanding.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have him in one room for that show. I always used to, when we did clubs, change the genre of music slightly, you know. So, yeah, Pippi's one of my, and Jonathan Satrincha is amazing as well. And I like to mix things up. I mean, I don't promote clubs anymore for a long time, although you know, Escucha again was not planned. I mean, we were getting 300 covers in there in the winter on a Sunday, and it was a little bit of a jig around afterwards. Good to bring the island back together, because that's what we're all looking forward to. I mean, look at the weather today; it's not great, but it's good. You know, this part of the year is you're getting near to the winter, and in the summer you don't see your friends much because you're all busy. So we're looking forward to the winter again.
Quality, Charlie. Really enjoyed this, mate. Thank you ever so much for making the effort today.
No problem whatsoever.
Lovely stories, mate.
Yeah.
And you're a well-connected man on the island for sure.
Yeah, no, that's quite handy.
Yeah, it's quite handy.
Gets you through. Yeah, gets you through.
And anyone going to check out Esno?
Iseno is basically... Iseno. This is the reason...
Where can they find Iseno?
It's not up at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes up, I'll
we've
put a
still
link
got the
on
old
it.
Facebook page, which is Essential Ibiza.
Yeah.
And that will launch. And as I say, we'll launch in the winter. And that just came through Shorter Name. And you know that new car company, Bolt? Bolt? Just everybody kept saying, marketing people, don't have two words, only have one word. Try and find an O.
Yeah.
Honestly, we sat there in Santa Catrudas for 3 weeks in a row, pieces of paper.
Throw it out.
No, and then you've got to you find a name, and then you've got to find the
website
trademark,
name,
the website, and all that.
Social handles.
Yeah, all of that. And we gave up, and we would one morning went off into the woods with a dog, and then Joe just chopped off TIAL Essential and put an O on the end,
and
it works out that it's not language sensitive. I've showed Dutch friends, German, Esseno. So yeah, that's going to be the big one.
Mate, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure, Charlie.
Yeah, easy. Nice and easy.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Gentlemen.